Hello and welcome, and thank you for joining us on It Is Written Canada. Today we will be visiting the Wiikwemkoong First Nation on Manitoulin Island here in beautiful northern Ontario. And it's such a beautiful country, you really have to visit this gorgeous community.
The leaders of the scenic island community decided to put their time, their energy and their money into building the characters of their youth. And after research, they discovered there was one character trait that would make the difference between success and failure. And that character trait was resiliency. The ability of a person to weather the storms of adversity and change.
And so their solution? To take the youth on a canoe trip out into the wilderness to let nature and the great creator of nature to teach their children this valuable lesson of resiliency. The Bible talks about it. In the book of Job, it talks about these lessons that we can learn from nature. But just ask the animals, Job says, and have them teach you, and the birds of the sky, and have them tell you. Or speak to the earth and have it teach you, and have the fish of the sea tell you. Who among all these does not know that the hand of the Lord does this, in whose hand is the life of every living creature, and the breath of all mankind?
Because the Wiikwemkoong First Nations community knew this awe-inspiring scenic location could speak to their youth about their great creator and teach them the lessons of resiliency, and help their youth to learn how to meet the challenges and adversities of life. One of the programs they devised is the Outdoor Adventure Leadership Experience. It's a wilderness canoe trip. In a moment, we will introduce you to these amazing young people, their leaders and guides, and explore how a wilderness canoe trip has benefited the youth of this proud, progressive and prosperous people.
The canoe trip is a metaphor for life. If we can work through the challenges of a canoe trip and make it to our destination, then much like life, we can work through the challenges and make it to our destination. The OALE experience out of Wiikwemkoong is a canoe-based, wilderness-based expedition experience where we are retracing the traditional route of travel of our people along the French River and following the Georgian Bay coastline up into the North Channel. Then we do a crossing to Wiikwemkoong and paddle into the Wiki Bay, where we're greeted by a gathering of our family and community and a celebration of the completion of our trip. So the OALE program, we're in our 9th year. Next year will be 10 years, including the very first pilot year. The OALE program was sort of envisioned in a partnership with Laurentian University. And what they were looking at was a project that would examine whether or not these kind of wilderness experiences and canoe-based expeditions would create resiliency in the youth. And would we be able to, by facilitating the challenge of an extended wilderness canoe trip, would we be able to facilitate growth in the youth so that they would be able to learn to meet challenges in their life? Would it be a benefit to their mental health? Would it help them to overcome adversity? Would it help them to, when they experience setbacks, realize that they can continue to work towards things and eventually reach their goal. As soon as it starts to turn, what do you need to do? What do you need to do that back end? Pull it. Pull the back end. That's it. Pull it again. It's okay. This experience is not just about learning how to paddle. Of course, that happens. It's more about how do we as a group come together to meet adversity and to face challenges? How do we, as a group that has never interacted before, never worked together in this way, how do we create a community? How do we engage with each other in a way that enables us to reach our goal, which is, of course, 140 kilometers of wilderness canoe tripping in not only some of the most beautiful territory that the Great Lakes ecosystem has to offer, but perhaps some of the most difficult experiences that the Great Lakes has to offer.
Welcome and thank you for joining us again on It Is Written Canada. I am talking to Lawrence Inose. He is the Brighter Futures Manager here at the Wiikwemkoong Youth Center. So welcome and thank you for being here, Lawrence. And with the outdoor adventure leadership experience, I'm so excited about that program. What's the advantages of that program?
First of all, just thank you for having me on the show, and I'm excited to be here to talk about our Outdoor Adventure Leadership Experience program that we offer in our community. And yes, we take our kids on a trip. It's 140 kilometers, and when you look at the map of Ontario and our region, you'd be like, that's no way, that's 140 kilometers. But sometimes the kids do zigzagging and they haven't been in a canoe ever, and the trip could be longer for some, but when we measure it out, it is 140 kilometers from point A to point B.
So they're learning how to paddle along in their canoe. That's a skill that you're teaching them.
It is a skill, and I think when we look at our programs that we offer throughout the year, we provide a lot of our community members the opportunity to learn skills, enhance their skills, and our OALE program is definitely a skill enhancer.
Mm-hmm. What have you seen come out of this? You've been a part of it yourself, and it's affected not just you, but your family.
I've been the Brighter Futures Manager for 10 years. The program's we just completed its 12th year, and it's really helped my family, and it's helped me as a manager. My daughter, Aurora, who's a post-secondary student at Carleton University, she's completed 3 trips as well. Wow. And when we look at the learning aspects of the trip, we provide resiliency, problem solving, learning to deal with certain situations. We build and we enhance our children with those skills to better prepare them for situations. And also it's a post-secondary, and you have to leave the community if you want to continue with your education. Mm-hmm. And so that's what our program does as well.
The community of Wiikwemkoong is, I want to say, unlike any other. We're a huge community. Our population, I want to say, is around 3,500 right now. But if you go anywhere outside of Wiikwemkoong, you're most likely to meet someone that's lived or has been living in Wiikwemkoong. The Wiikwemkoong itself is a beautiful place. I'm really glad and happy that I was born and raised here. Well, I wasn't born here, but I was raised here. I was born in Sudbury. But being raised here, being able to walk the streets as a kid and just not have any worries about anything crazy like that, it's truly something magical, I would say. The amount of OALE trips I've been on is 5. I've been on one 5-day canoe trip, which I want to say was like 65 kilometers, and then 4 10-day canoe trips. On the big trips, the first 3 days is adjustment period. Once you get past that, day 4, 5, and 6 is all everyone getting together and enjoying the trip. And then the last 3 days, you're exhausted, you're kind of miserable, and you're just waiting to get home. Sometimes you'll have people that want to give up, and you gotta tell them, no, we're almost done. You're almost there. Just push yourself a little harder, Then once you get home, you see your family, you embrace with them, maybe shed a few tears. I've shed a few tears a couple times, especially seeing my nephew. He's probably the most important person in my life. Every time I get back home from a trip, he's the #1 person I go to. When I get back from a trip, I feel like I'm at peace with myself more than ever. Like when I go through everything that I go through on these trips, and then I get home, I get to relax, I get to be calm and just enjoy life as much as possible. Sponsors are a big thing for these trips. You've lowered the cost for us. If you can manage to keep that up and OALE can get sponsors every year, it makes it easier for kids to go out and try a canoe trip of 5 or 10 days. Either one, you're gonna get an experience.
So the OALE program is really good for the youth's mental health because once you're out there with nature, it's very calming, very relaxing, and then not only that, you're taking the kids back out away from social media. So once you're out there, you know, you have to use your communication skills. They are, you know, working together as a team. It's been really good for all the youth in Wiikwemkoong because they actually learned life skills out there. They learned leadership. They learned a lot about themselves. And not only that, they learned about their culture. They learned about our land. You know, I love it out there.
So you're thinking, this is just a canoe trip, but it's more than a canoe trip. They're connecting with nature. It's a spiritual experience as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a spiritual experience. There's lots of reflection on the trip as well, and what we've done over time is we've built that into you know, connecting with themselves, connecting with family, and connecting with community, and we're preparing our kids for future, whether they're going to be leaders or they're going to be employed in our community, and we also connected with the culture.
Mm-hmm. Is the culture, is it very connected with nature?
Yeah, I'd say it is because what we noticed, we call it when we were doing our research and even the staff, we find that in the beginning sometimes we would get children and they weren't really keen on going on the trip. They kind of fought the first couple days about it, and then after day 3, when you're kind of in the middle of nowhere, you're out there paddling, that you kind of just forget everything.
Yeah.
And you're just looking around at nature. It could be stormy, and you're working with everybody else that's on the trip, so they're able to come together.
That's awesome.
It's incredible.
Yeah, that's really good. So Lawrence, this program is quite an expensive program as well, and so there's a lot of investment that goes into this.
Yeah, the program is quite expensive, and what we do every year is we look for funding for our program, and we've been very lucky to have partners such as ADRA. ADRA's helped us 2 years now with a financial donation, and with that donation we've been able to supply proper equipment for our youth of our community. We've also been able to make sure that we put the money towards food for our trips, because our trips are 10 days. It's not a simple camping trip where you go camping for a weekend, you're staying in one spot, your equipment's all put away. Our kids are out tripping and voyaging, so it's not like it's staying in one spot. So they're traveling, and there's a lot of wear and tear on the equipment and everything like that. So we just want to thank ADRA for their contribution and making our program a success.
I'm Ian Dokum. I'm 14. I'm from Wiikwemkoong. It's just amazing seeing wild animals, beautiful trees, green trees, blue water, instead of seeing, like, I don't know, just on your phone all the time, laying in bed. It's better off being out in nature, enjoying it, going swimming while canoeing.
So how do we incorporate culture into this experience? One of the ways is, of course, is through daily prayer. We don't have any sort of formal way of engaging in that prayer, but we encourage each participant to engage in it personally, but also to do those prayers on behalf of the other group. To honor everything in creation. That's what we mean by respect. Bravery doesn't mean, that you're the first one to do. We also encourage and work on developing a greater understanding of our culture through things like engaging with the 7 grandfather teachings. So we will talk about bravery, we'll talk about humility, we will talk about love and truth and how we can incorporate them and keep those 7 grandfathers as a perspective on how to live life well.
I'm Chief Duke Peltier, or Gima in our language, and I'm the elected representative here in Wiikwemkoong Ceded Territory, and the role I perform is leading the community and providing some direction and being the official spokesperson of the decisions of our elected council. When we first started the Outdoor Adventure Leadership Experience program in a little over 10 years ago, we wanted to ensure that we provided a space and an opportunity for the youth in our community to realize their full potential. We began to identify specific areas that we felt were important to pass on to young leaders through a mentorship type program. It's satisfying when you see somebody go into the program the first day where they're very timid, they're unsure of their abilities, they don't have confidence, their self-esteem is low. But then when they come out of the program after 7 to 10 days that they're out on the land, they are a changed person. And when we see these young people come out of the program, they're full of life, they're full of happiness, their home environment it changes, because some of the positive stories that come out of that is that they now know what some chores are, and they begin to help out at home. They begin to show their parents that they can communicate with them now. So all these things are built into the OALE program.
I would say that the program is definitely something that I encourage other people to try, because it's really it's something that you never forget. You make a lot of memories there, and you can make a lot of friends. I have, one of my closest friends I'm friends with now, we got really close on that trip, and still to this day we talk about stuff that we remember, and we laugh about stuff that happened. So it's definitely something really memorable. My favorite part about every single day that you spend is the end of the day, after everyone eats and everyone's sitting by the fire and you're just kind of talking with everybody, and the scenery is beautiful. You can see the stars super clear, and it's just a really, I remember my past canoe trip I was on, we were sitting by the fire and we had a view of the water, and the sky was really bright, and I just thought I was really great. I was really grateful that I went on there.
Lawrence, the homecoming celebration, that's a big thing, isn't it? Tell us about that.
Our homecoming celebration for OALE has grown over the years, and it's a big celebration where our children and our youth who are on the trip, they're separated from their families for 10 days, and when they're coming home, they're paddling in from the route that our ancestors have taken, and their families are waiting for them. We have our traditional welcoming, our drum is there, our elders are there, our chief is there, and we're celebrating the success of their kids for accomplishments. And it's almost like when you go to school, you get a certificate or diploma, but we do something a little bit more unique. When our participants talk about our trip, they're going to remember it and they're going to be able to pass on the story. And one of the things that we do differently is most places give out a certificate or diploma or degree, and what we do is we give out a paddle. So we have a paddle for all of our participants who've completed the trip, and on the paddle it'll show the distance that they completed, the year, and their name. So if something ever goes missing like this, they'll be able to find out whose paddle it is, and again, it creates a story and a legacy. So, and for those who participated this year in 2020 with the coronavirus and the pandemics going on, we had special paddles made up, hashtag we're all in this together, and we have the year. So this is a year that was going to be a definite storytelling for future years. So more important than a trophy or a certificate. So this is something that they'll definitely be able to tell their family or their children or their grandchildren years to come.
Awesome, awesome. I think the success of the program speaks for itself, and that success has bred more and more success, and it's just a domino effect that's affected your community and is affecting other communities. And through the participants, there is this, other programs have been enhanced by it. So thank you very much, Lawrence, for sharing with us, and miigwech.
Miigwech, thank you for having me. Have a great day.
My name is Mick Staruck. My role with the Wiikwemkoong Board of Education, Elder Rita Corbia calls it the Yazgab Witaget. It's a system principal, when you say that in English, kind of like a superintendent. And so I support the principals, curriculum development, information technology programs like that, special education. So the OALE program is probably the most phenomenal youth-based program I've ever heard of and got to witness and encounter of. I think resiliency is there, and so when you're looking for ways to unlock it, and so when we talk about OALE program or some of these projects, really what it is it's bringing them back to their roots, and sometimes the resiliency can look a little dim because I don't think the children have been ingrained or introduced to their roots, but these are the igniters. And yes, it's not just about the canoeing. The resiliency it unlocks that for them to want to go farther and learn more. And then the more they learn about their past, and then the more they see the skills they have that they probably didn't even know, that resiliency I see transforms into anything else they do.
Our youth are very important to our community. I myself am avid outdoors person, and have been involved with the community hunt as one of the coordinators. And having the knowledge that our elders and our experienced harvesters transfer that knowledge to our youth is important to continuing on our traditions. You know, they're the ones that are going to be doing that, and having the OALE, for an example, that builds that resilience within our youth. And I've actually had two of my daughters participate on the trips, and you know, and I'd see when they come home, coming onto the shore, they were just so full of pride. So, and you know, I would ask them, because I seen sometimes the waves were big. And I would ask them too, like, how did you push through that? Like, was that challenging? And they said it was, but everyone was supportive. And you know, they would say, keep going. And they would sometimes link canoes if it became challenging, and they would support each other and encourage each other. And I found that my daughters actually participated in more than one trip because they really enjoyed the first one. So, and I think it really built character within the youth.
We at ADRA Canada were very honored and privileged to participate and partner with the Wiikwemkoong First Nations community here on Manitoulin Island, the world's largest freshwater island. There was a program that ADRA Canada participated and partnered with several years ago, and they wanted to cancel it this year due to COVID-19. And so this year, because of the funding that ADRA Canada was able to provide, the program was able to continue, and over 30 students participated and successfully completed the program. We are so honored at ADRA Canada to work and partner with our First Nations community here on Manitoulin Island, Wiikwemkoong.
Through the Outdoor Adventure Leadership Experience, the youth of Wiikwemkoong First Nations on Manitoulin Island in Northern Ontario discovered how exposure to the natural environment provides education, mental health, stability, and the nurturing we all need to achieve our goals.
This amazing world that we live in also provides us with everything we need to stay alive physically: the water, the sunshine, the food, and the air. But when we look beyond our world to this amazing universe of ours, we see sights beyond our imagination.
So today we would like to offer you a free special edition of Signs of the Times entitled Our Amazing Universe.
To request today's offer, just log on to www.itiswrittencanada.ca.
As we have seen, the Outdoor Adventure Leadership Experience, a 140-kilometer canoe trip into the wilderness, is not just about learning how to paddle a canoe.
No, it's about helping youth learn how to create community, how to work together, and how to engage with each other in a way that enables them to reach their goals. And through the sponsorship of ADRA Canada and other organizations, these young people were able to experience this life-changing program.
One core aspect of this program is prayer. So let's take a moment to pray to our great Creator God right now and thank Him for the way that He speaks to us and teaches our youth through the works of His hands. Let's pray. O Lord, Creator of heaven and earth, You are the Lord, You alone. And You have made heaven and earth and the waters and all that is in them. And You give them all life. You have truly made everything beautiful in its time. And because You put eternity in all of our hearts, we want to thank You and we want to pray to You in Jesus' name, our Creator and Redeemer. Amen. We want you to experience the life-transforming truth found in the words of Jesus, our Savior, when He said, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God."
I've heard some people say that life is like a canoe trip because it's hard and you just want to go home. It's only hard if you look at the bad part of it and you don't, think about the positives. Yeah, it's going to be hard sometimes, but you got to look past that. You got to think about where you're getting and how far you've already traveled and how, you've already pushed through so much and how you can keep going. This trip wouldn't have been possible without sponsors and people helping us to provide for this trip. It's taught me a lot about who I am and who I can become, and I'd like to say thank you to all the sponsors for helping, bring us together and to help us learn together, to help us learn about who we are as Anishinaabe people. That's a big thank you. We couldn't have done it without you.